What's up, people, and welcome to another edition of Deconstructing Hip Hop, the show where geek meets ghetto, aka the show where we break down classic hip hop beats using modern day music production tools. Now, Criminal Minded by Boogie Down Productions is definitely one of my favorite old school tracks. To be honest with you, when I had chosen the song for this show, it was either I was either gonna do this one or I was gonna do My Philosophy. There's just something about Boogie Down Productions that has always held my interest, even since I was a kid. Now, I'm not gonna lie, back in '86, I was about 6 years old. Yeah, I didn't know Boogie Down Productions. The fact that I wasn't really that into hip hop. Yeah, I had my hands on Run DMC's Raising Hell, but I didn't get introduced to Boogie Down Productions until later on in life. And fortunately, I went back and did my homework. The thing about Criminal Minded is that it came out during an era when samplers were pretty much fresh on the scene, and you really didn't have much time. So around this time, and even before then, the emphasis was always on the beat, always on the drum machine. You did have examples of DJs just playing a break beat, continuously. However, you didn't have the kind of sample time that we have right now. We have endless sample time. But back then, you'd be lucky. You might only had 2.5 seconds or 5 seconds. So it really came down to the producer to just get very, very creative. Now, Said G, Scot LaRock, and KRS are the ones who actually produced this track together. Now, from an interview that I read with KRS, he had said that Said G from the Ultramagnetic MCs, which you guys, if you guys don't know, you really do need to find out about. He said that Scott would actually bring the records that he wanted on the track into the studio. Said G would program the drum machine. And then I guess KRS would also do his thing. He probably brought in a lot of records too. I'm assuming that a lot of the reggae references came in through KRS-One. I'm only assuming that because in his later work, he always made some reggae references. Yeah, and the thing is, as far as the drum machines were concerned back then, I encourage you really to go to vintagesynths.com and go onto their timeline because you can actually see which drum machines were state of the art back then. And when you start to look at the spec of these machines, we're not just talking about a gritty sound and different types of filter chips inside of and low sample time. But what really the emphasis was back then was on the programming of the drums itself, because that's really where they shined. For instance, Said G, when he programmed this, if you just listen to it, there's a lot of variation. It isn't just the same drum kit played straight through. All right, he alters it up a little bit, and he does play with the arrangement just a little bit. Now, the beat itself is very, how should I put it? It's very quantized. For those of you that don't know what quantization is, it pretty much just takes your off-timing playing and puts it on time, so it always sounds like you're on rhythm. Later on in hip-hop, what ended up happening was a lot of the producers intentionally didn't quantize, or they quantized halfway so that your beat would have more of a human kind of sound. For example, I do know DJ Premier, he actually plays the beats out himself, so it doesn't sound quantized at all. Either ways, he's a DJ, so his timing is probably good anyways. But anyways, back to Criminal Minded. So Said G, now I'm not exactly sure what drum machine he used. I want to say an Emu Systems SP12. Not the SP1200, but the SP12. The reason I'm saying the SP12 is because when the album was recorded, the SP1200 was not released yet. And also, if I recall correctly, on the South Bronx, you hear SP12 sounds, especially that cowbell. Anyways, what I want you to do is just have a listen to what I did. I didn't exactly do a one-for-one mix as always, but I came pretty close to it. I pretty much handled most of the first verse. And after that, I just kind of just faded it out. But yeah, I had to cheat a little bit. I had to grab the drums from the actual instrumental of Criminal Minded because I just could not find a bunch of SP12 sounds that sounded exactly like the ones in the track. So just have a listen and let me know what you guys think. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is the Syl Johnson sample. Now, the song is Different Strokes, and this song has been used several times in hip hop. The ones that stick out at the top of my head are Cool G Rap's Talk Like Sex, EPMD's It's My Thing, Public Enemy's Fight the Power, and a whole mess of other tracks. Now, in this case, it's just a straight sample. I want to say it's maybe like 4 bars. All they really did here was just pitch it down from the original. I want to say they slowed it down maybe about 3 notes. Yeah, I'm not going to play anymore because I don't want this video to get flagged on YouTube. Now, what I pretty much did was I used Machine's SB1200 emulator, which I'm not really sure is the greatest emulator, but either ways, it gets the job done and makes it sound a little muddy. SB1200 muddy? I don't know, but it makes it sound muddy. I also ended up EQing it a little bit just to kind of make it sound somewhat closer to what you hear on Criminal Minded. Now, the other sample I want to talk to you guys about comes from Trouble Funk's Let's Get Small. Now, the thing is here, what they just pretty much did was those first few horn stabs that you hear at the beginning of the track, I assigned them to different pads. Now that last horn stab, it's a little longer than what you actually hear in the original song, so I kind of cheated. I warped it a little bit in Contact. Why did I do that? Well, because like I said, that horn stab in Criminal Minded, that last horn stab, I should say, lasts longer than what you get off of the original sample. Here's what I'm talking about. See, that last one. I use Contact to stretch it out. Yes, that's cheating. I have no idea what said G did. Or maybe they just applied some effect to the horn stab without doing some other type of effect to it. I don't know, but that's just what I did. As with the Different Strokes sample, I EQ'd it just to kind of get the kind of sound that you would expect to get. Now the thing is, before I leave this sample, besides the part that I just played earlier in the song, you hear it at a lower pitch. That's what you hear at the very beginning, all right? But what you hear played throughout the song is... Now, the drums. Now, like I had said before in the intro, I really don't know for sure if they used an SB12. And I really couldn't find clean SB12 sounds. A lot of times I would try to look to purchase drum kits that supposedly said they were SB12 sounds, but they sounded like they come from, you know, completely different manufacturers, not necessarily EMU systems. But anyways, so what I did, I just sampled the kick, the snare, the other snare, the hi-hat, and the open cymbal, or ride, depending whatever terminology you want to use. I sampled that directly off of the instrumental for Criminal Minded. Now, said G, he doesn't just play the kick straight out. There are parts of the song where he actually puts a delay effect on it. And so that's exactly what I did. I set a beat delay for, I want to say, yeah, for 16th notes. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. There really wasn't any EQing necessary because, like I said, it came directly off of the Criminal Minded instrumental. That being said, as far as the sequencing is concerned, I got most of the first verse up in there, so it's somewhat 1 for 1. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. If there's something I missed or something that I should have done differently, please, please, please get at me. Yeah, man, it came out pretty well, if you ask me. It's definitely not gonna pass for an instrumental of Criminal Minded, but if ever they remastered it and reissued it, you could use mine. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, as always, just check me out on Facebook. You could like the Facebook fan page at facebook.com/deconstructinghiphop, and the videos will show up in your news feed as they come out. Or even better, you can actually subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/deconstructing hip hop. That way, as soon as the videos are produced, you'll get them in your YouTube news feed. Because sometimes I'll post these late at night. But yeah, and lastly, there are 2 Twitter addresses you could follow. If you just want to follow stuff about the show and the occasional hip hop factoid, or just information about the track that I'm going to be covering that week, you can follow the show's Twitter feed at twitter.com/deconhiphop. Or if you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at RogerGill79. There, though, just understand that you probably will get some mental health references since, yeah, I am a therapist by trade. So that being said, I got to try to make the most of this weekend here in Jersey. It's kind of a gloomy day here, but yeah, I don't really need sunshine to do whatever it is that I do. So until next week, peace.